both captains afterwards pretty much said that Harry Brook was the difference in that second Test match. Sensational 100 in that first innings in difficult conditions when England were under serious pressure. He takes so many risks, doesn't he? But actually, 9 times out of 10, they pay off. Does a lot more thought go into his method than meets the eye? Because when he takes these risks, say comes down the track, makes room and blazes you over cover for 6 in the first few overs of the match, does a lot of thought go into that shot, that type of shot? Because he almost seems to know where the bowler is going to bowl. So when he does something like that, the ball is exactly where he wants it.
I mean, look, firstly, he's incredibly skillful, incredibly talented. There's absolutely, I don't think there's any doubt anywhere of that. So, he's got the skill level to be able to do that. And with experience, that's exactly what happens, right? You understand where the bowler's going to bowl, what the bowler's trying to do, and you're a couple of steps ahead. And that's what he's making it look like, without a doubt. But I think, having obviously shared a dressing room with him, I think it's the simplicity in his game. He's at his best when he's, keeping it real simple, backing his ability, and, taking it to the bowlers. And, it was, as the captains put it, he was the difference. And, it's good to see him growing again, taking another few steps forward. Overseas runs like that are an important facet for batters as they go from being young, talented, up and coming to the bedrock and the someone that the team can be built around. So yeah, very, very good. England have just been super, super impressive.
Very impressive as a team. Jacob Bethell was really impressive coming in at number 3, 50 in the second innings of his first Test match. Brilliant, 90 odd, deserved 100. Would have been his first class 100 if he got it actually in that second Test. I mean, we don't need to talk too much about Bethell because it's clear, he passes the eye test. We've spoken about him loads already. His technique looks bang on. He's really aggressive, talented, good player, should be an all-format player. But it's given England a real problem, hasn't it, this now? Because Ollie Pope's dropped down the order, done very well, actually, at number 6. So, 5 or 6, we've often said that's a better place for Ollie Pope. He actually kept pretty well too. Didn't do anything wrong, really, with the gloves. But Jamie Smith has just looked different gravy when he came in. So when he comes back in, what on earth do England do with their top 7?
I mean, firstly, just on Bethell, I think the method, but the tempo, and so skillful. Chuffed to bits because watching him in the summer last year, you knew there was something pretty special, and to come in and get the performances in early, just sort of gives you that inner confidence, and he can flow from there. What does England do? Look, this is going to be a very, very tricky decision, right? Because whichever way they look, they're going to have to drop someone that they've put a lot of investment into. But you know what? What a good place to be in. Really good place to be in. And I think there's a lot to happen, moving forward. Sometimes injuries happen, out of form. But what does England do? I mean, in my opinion, Jamie Smith comes back in, no doubt. Absolutely no doubt. Actually, if I was, which we're looking towards, India and Australia. I think it's tough to put Ollie Pope at number 3 now that he's shown what the gut feeling, what the gut feeling was, that he's a much better player at down the order. So he competes with Jamie Smith, and Jamie Smith wins that battle for me. And I was, I would have been interested to see Ollie Pope at 3 in Australia, but if we found someone that I think has got a better chance, then I think we've got to go with it. Tough, but when you've got talent all the way, there's going to be a tough decision. Someone has to miss out.
Steve James in the Times wrote an interesting article in which he mooted the idea that Jacob Bethell could open, and you could bring him in for Zak Crawley, who's on a really bad run at the moment. And Crawley is the kind of guy that goes through these peaks and big troughs. What do you think of that, Ade?
Absolutely not. If there was one person who, in terms of technically, in terms of the game, in terms of the Aussie bowlers, I was at Old Trafford in the Ashes on that day when he smashed them everywhere. I think if there was one person that I'd want in that batting lineup opening the batting in the first Test match in the Ashes, it'd be Zak Crawley. Absolutely no chance would I even consider him dropping him. Not literally every time he's gone through the tough phases. What everyone's always said is he's got the game to be very successful in Australia. Now we've got a chance to see that, and I fully agree with that. I wouldn't want to drop him. So no, I'm not even considering that. I just don't see, for me at numbers, wicket keeping spot, Jamie Smith against Ollie Pope. Jamie Smith wins every time. Number 3, look, there's a lot of time between now and these series, right? So Bethell has got to back it up. But if Bethell keeps backing it up, then, he wins that race for me. Because, there's been a lot of investment into Ollie Pope, but at number 3, constantly every series, even if he has a big 100, it's followed by a lot of low scores. And it's the franticness of his batting at 3. It can't be good for anyone. So, I think Bethell's got to continue to score the runs, and if he does, Ollie Pope misses out.
Yeah, I've got to say, I probably agree with that, actually. I think Zak Crawley is the kind of person that in those conditions could really thrive in Australia. And I think him and Duckett as well, they complement each other so well, because you've got a tall right-hander who plays a lot off the front foot, and you've got a short left-hander who's excellent off the back foot, excellent at cutting and pulling. So, I think don't break up that duo. And I think Crawley hopefully will come good. But if he doesn't, they do have to think about another option. Maybe Bethell opening could be. But I think I'd rather him at number 3, as it were. I think for me, I think Jamie Smith's a shoo-in. And I think you've got to give Pope the opportunity to maybe get his spot back. So it's almost like a shootout, Bethell and Pope, number 3 over the summer. And whoever comes through the best gets the spot for the Ashes.
But what do you mean over the summer? Because they're not going to make their judgment calls on county cricket performances. So it's through the India series. Look, if Bethell finishes well in New Zealand, and looking ahead, I just think if he backs it up, he's shown you enough glimpses already. It's funny, isn't it? Like when he gets announced as number 3, everyone's got a problem with it. All of a sudden now we're pitching him to open. So it's just so fickle, and that's the one thing I think to be careful of here, because he's a young lad with not a lot of cricket, and there's a long time between now. And Ollie Pope has played a lot of cricket. There's experience there, and he's a very good player. And if you're going to make a judgment on county performances, he will go back to Surrey and score a bucket loads of runs like he does every year. So it's a really, really tricky situation. The one thing is, Bethell's going to the IPL. Ollie Pope is not. And that might help Ollie Pope, because, I don't know if Bethell will be in the 11. And, you can lose momentum not playing cricket. So, and, the IPL rules don't allow him to pull out anymore either. So I think there's a long way to go, and that could be an advantage for Ollie Pope.